Okay, everyone, welcome to the show. A bit of advice for you today, and I often say I don't really like giving unsolicited advice, but sometimes there are things that I might be able to offer to you, the three of you that will watch this video, that many people in the real estate industry won't tell you because the real estate industry is, well, we don't have a great reputation, and perhaps we have earned that. So let me talk to you a little bit about the reality of selling a house in 2023 in relation to your timeline and what you can expect as a result in terms of how much money you should walk away with. We've had this come up a couple times lately at the 1911 Syndicate, which, shameless plug, that's the real estate business that I run. We're largely catered for military, law enforcement. It's a bit more of a conservative real estate brand, if you will. Not that we play the politics game, but generally speaking, that's more of our clientele. But we've had this come up a couple times lately with clients who bought a house in 2021. Sorry, I had to do some math. We're in 2023 now. Who bought a house in 2021 and they need to sell their house now. And the question of like, how much money am I gonna make comes up. Not much, bro. Not much, if anything, is the answer. But it's important that we have this conversation because it seems like an almost universal truth. When people go to sell their house, there is this like, time to make that money. And it's like, well, depends on how long you've owned the house and what you owe on the house and what the market's like. It's like there's more variables to this equation, right? So I'm going to give you two different scenarios. Scenario number one, you bought a house either just before COVID started or like right at the start of it, right? AKA before things started getting crazy in the real estate market. If you bought a house during that time period and you needed to sell your house now, chances are you're gonna do pretty well. You're probably gonna make a decent amount of money on that just because you bought it right before things got crazy. The market was already good then, like it was a good, healthy, growing market, but it wasn't crazy yet. So you bought a house pre-COVID, right at the start, like January, February, March of 2020, you're probably gonna do pretty well on that. You probably actually will have a decent little chunk of cash. How much completely depends on how much your house is worth and the market that you live in, all that kind of stuff. Scenario number two, let's say that you bought a house sometime between in the neighborhood of summer 2021. So at the time that this video comes out, that'd be about a year and a half that you've owned your house. You're in a tough boat, okay? You're in a tough boat. We had this with a client where, without, it doesn't matter the names or even the dollar amounts, but I'll give you kind of a frame of reference. This person's house, I'm gonna say is worth 600 grand. And it's not even gonna work. Forget about the example. So here's what you need to know. They think because the real estate market was crazy when they bought their house and it grew even after that they're gonna walk with this pile of money. Well, here's what you're not factoring in. The market has come down, right? From the spring of 2022 to current date, the market has come down a little bit, right? So you're gonna be doing good. Look, straight up, your goal is to break even right now. If you make more than that, right, which of course your agent would love for you to make more on that, they get paid based on the sales price of your house. Don't think an agent wouldn't love your house to sell for $12 million. Of course they would, but we have to talk in reality. Like if you break even, you're doing good. If you make a little bit of money, you're doing extra good right now, okay? Because of this, yes, your house might have gone up in a little bit of value, but what a lot of sellers fail to remember is that, hey, you get a free ride, kind of, sort of, when you buy a house. AKA, you don't pay anyone's commissions, generally speaking, unless there's some very nuanced thing that's happening within your deal there. But generally speaking, like, when you're a buyer, you got a free ride. You don't have to pay anyone. You've got your closing costs, right? But that's like loan origination fees and title fees and shit like that. Like you don't have commissions in there. When you sell a house, that's the reminder that you need. Hey, now it's time to pay the piper, right? Like now you got to pay commissions because you got a free ride on the first half of the equation. Well, you just don't get to live for free forever. Eventually you got to pay the man. Well, you pay the man when you sell the house because that's when, in theory, you make your money. But there's some other things. When you sell your house, you might have tax implications, right? You might have, there's even a couple others that I wrote down. Especially given the time period that we're talking about, let's just say summer of 2021, man, I mean, another client that I'm personally dealing with in Utah right now, their house, they bought it in the spring of summer 2021, and the house was listed at 300. Well, they bought it at 336. Oh, shit. Wait, that's not a problem really if we're talking you're going to own the house for a decade and sell it a decade from now. But then you're like, hey, you've owned the house for a year and a half and you paid 36 grand over the listing price. You got a situation on your hands now, my friend. Because the reality is this, their house is worth now, I've got great comps on it, it's worth 350, right? Now, if they'd bought it for 300, cool, they're gonna have a little bit of upside. But okay, you bought it for 336, now it's worth 350, you owe like 325, but you got commissions that you gotta pay and a little bit of extra closing costs. You're like, bro, like, they will be doing good if they walk away with 5 grand. And they're probably going like, after we own this house for a year and a half in a crazy real estate market. Yeah, but you overpaid for it and the market took a dip. It's not my fault. Like, I didn't come up with the rules for the market. I didn't make you pay more for your house than it's worth. Like, I'm just here to facilitate the sale at this point. But I got some bad news. You guys are gonna be doing good if you walk away with like $12. 5 grand and you should fucking celebrate. 0, and honestly, fine. Your goal is to not be underwater. That's what your goal is. So it's just a little bit of friendly advice for any of you who might sell your house this year. You really have to have realistic expectations based on when you bought your house, okay? That's it. That's the moral of the story. So me and Finn will talk to you about alcohol real quick here, and then we'll run. And before we do that, if you guys, like what you see here, subscribe to the channel, drop us a comment. If you need real estate help, 1911syndicate.com will be the place that you go to communicate with us and see if we can help you out with your real estate needs. Finn, this stuff right here, you remember this? Me and Finn got lit up on this. Just kidding. Finn did. I only got a buzz, but Finn did get lit. This is very old St. Nick. Some of the coolest bottling and labels in the game. But this was another sort of like celebration bottle that I decided to pop in December around the holidays. So this is their Harvest Rye cask strength. So it's, what is it at? 118.8 proof. So it's up there. And honestly, for a rye, it really did not drink that hot. At 165 bucks, I don't know that it's worth 165 bucks. Of the 2 that I have from them, this is probably the one of the 2 that you would want to pay that money for just because of the proof point. But it was cool. There's some like kind of tea and like botanical herbal, like a lot of that kind of thing going on. Versus like traditional rye spice, it had a much more like kind of, herbal botanical thing. So anyway, there's that. Who knows? Me and Finn might drink some of that tonight. We'll see. We'll see where the night takes us. But like I said, if you guys need real estate help, let us know. We'll catch you guys next time.